اسمحوا لي الآن أن أرحب بالأستاذة ليندا المصري. مرحبا أستاذة ليندا.
أهلا وسهلا.
أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بك. تطلين علينا من المملكة صحيح؟
صحيح، من جدة.
إذا من المملكة العربية السعودية السعيدة. أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بك. أذكر أنها مدير الموارد البشرية في مشفى الملك فهد، وهي كذلك أخصائية سعادة نفتخر بها، وهي مستشارة معتمدة من البورد الألماني. أهلا وسهلا بك. كذلك اسمحوا لي أن أرحب بالضيفة التي تأتينا من بلد آخر ستعرفونه الآن. إنها رونيا باكهاوس، تدرس العلاقات الدولية في إحدى الجامعات في ألمانيا، وهي دولة كما تعلمون تحتل حاليا المرتبة 17 في السعادة العالمية. كذلك هي متطوعة في اليونيسف وداعمة لمنظمات إنسانية كثيرة، منها مثلا كيندر نوتالفا، وهي كلمة ألمانية معناها دعم الحالات الطارئة المتعلقة بالأطفال. وعلاوة على ذلك هي تساعد في الحملة العالمية حقيقة للتعليم، وحاليا هي متدربة كذلك في هاوس بفقاش، وهي منظمة تساعد المهاجرين واللاجئين. هاي رونيا.
Hey, good evening.
Thank you. إيرين ميدن بيج تلقت تعليمها في جامعة ألمانية، في جامعة نعم كذلك ألمانية، وهي كذلك نستطيع أن نسميها أنها أستاذة من أساتذة حقيقة المساواة والتعاون بين الأديان. إيرين هي عضوة أساسية في مجلس وادي سيدار، وقد قامت بتدريس مكثف وتوعية وتعليم للشباب وبرمجة وتدريب على التنوع حقيقة تحت راية الحوار. وتعتقد هي كذلك أن العمل بين الأديان هو مفتاح التعايش السلمي. أهلا وسهلا بك إيرين. Hi إيرين.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Nice to meet you. أريد أن أقول الآن للأستاذة ليندا المايك معك. سأحاول قدر إمكاني أن لا أقاطعك، وفي نهاية الجلسة ستكون المستشارة ميرفت هشام معك لكي تنقل لك باللغة الإنجليزية كذلك الأسئلة التي سترد عبر الشات. هذه آخر كلمة عربية ستسمعونها في هذه الجلسة، وسنعود إلى اللغة العربية بعد نهاية الجلسة. كلنا أذان صاغية لك ليندا ولضيوفك.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and good morning overseas for Erin and Rhonda. How are you today? You can unmute yourself.
Yes, great, thank you.
Okay,
Wonderful.
That's excellent. Excellent to hear that. Of course, today our topic is something that's interested today, and everybody is talking about the happiness and the lifestyle that's really matter in our community and our culture. So it take me to the question first to start our conversation today. What is the most important reason of happiness according the lifestyle in US and in Germany? So Ronja, if you could start, please.
I think for us, it's very individualistic here. For everyone, happiness can lie in something different. People can be happy because of their personal life, but I think for everybody, it's family and friends that really makes us very happy here.
Okay, that's excellent. How about you, Erin?
I would absolutely agree. Community engagement, having a strong support system, your friends, is very important. Just good relationships and having a meaningful life, we try.
Okay, so that's mean in college and like family, they do some activities, something that's like traditional, or it's just depends on how you grow up and how people live their life. What do you think, Erin?
I think in the US, with so many cultures represented, you know, we're not all the same at all. And so that can vary to a great deal. But I think similar to Germany, sports is very important, teamwork is very important, and just doing things that you love with other people that you love who also love doing that creates a lot of the value.
Yeah, excellent. How about you, Rhonda?
Yes, I totally agree. I think what comes with teamwork and sports is this feeling of belonging that is very important, that you have your group that you belong to and that you can rely on and that supports you. I think that is really necessary and helpful.
Does it make a difference with the ages, like your ages, they have different interests than adults, and I don't know. What do you think?
I think regarding what you do with your group, it might be very different. But I think no matter what age you are, you always need people around you to feel fully happy.
Okay. How about in US?
Well,
I know that work
different.
is totally different than college.
Right, right. I would say in America, people are open to learning about things at any age. So it's the age that dictates so much what we do, but just the idea that hopefully you're always growing and challenging yourself and finding people that support you through those challenges.
Okay.
Right.
I think now with the opening of a scholarship and lots of international students that's at college, and sometimes they have internship and they work there. So like a marriage of lots of culture together. People learn a lot and they got to know each other. They feel the things differently and evaluate the things differently. So what is the benefit of social and functional happiness that's in US?
The function of happiness is harder to talk about. You know, is happiness a feeling, or is happiness a series of steps that we take to create a meaningful life?
Okay.
In the US, people get confused, honestly. I think they think this, when I get married, I'll be happy. When I get this job promotion, I'll be happy. Americans tend to focus on the thing itself, as opposed to, I think in religious circles, happiness is more the steps that we take to have a meaningful life. And there's a difference there, right?
Ah, yes.
Just the cultural differences in what even creates happiness. How do we define happiness?
Yeah. So how you define happiness for yourself?
For myself? Yeah. Happiness for me is defined by my family, central air conditioning,
okay,
and getting out of the house right now, because America is still very much in quarantine under lockdown, and haven't been able to leave our homes in over 5 months now, and that definitely lowers the happiness factor.
For us.
Yes.
We talked before you.
Yeah, we're not handling it well, and I can see everybody's happiness just decrease by the day because of how things are being handled, you know. So it's a tough thing to have a happiness conversation in the middle of a pandemic, or a happiness conversation when look what just happened in Beirut. And, you know, so part of that path of happiness is also coming up against challenges and being able to find your way through.
But you think it's a lifestyle that we have to live with. Sometimes you need to accept reality, and you live the life, and that's it. It will go on. And
right.
Yeah. How about you, Rania?
I totally agree with what was just said. I think when it comes to happiness, it depends so much on how people see it, whether they think that happiness is a goal they have to achieve. That can lead to a lot of pressure they put on themselves and worrying about being happy, because I think it comes with more letting go, that you actually are able to do that. And I think especially in the current times, we can observe that maybe that we are at home right now, we see what's really important to us and what we love and what we really need to be happy.
Oh, okay. So do you think that the level of education get affected by happiness and positivity? What do you think, Erin?
Absolutely. I think education allows you to live a life of meaning by studying something that matters to you and being able to work in a field that matters to you. And the more meaning that we can create with that, the more happiness there is.
Okay.
So education is what allows you to do what you love. And nobody who hates their job is very happy in the world.
Okay.
You know, education is what gives us the opportunities to create a happy life, a meaningful life.
Okay, that's great. How about you, Rania?
I also think that education, and especially the time you spend at school or even at kindergarten already, is the time where you can discover what makes yourself happy, because you learn about so many different things and you can just find out what you like for yourself and what is important to you. So that's a very important part for creating happiness.
Of course, I agree with you guys. But I'm usually look at it and check how it's the level of happiness in some of the countries, and sometimes between Germany and US, it's only 1% different. It's 18 and 17, which is amazing. That means you live a happily life. So what the things that government give for you guys to feel a happiness? What do you think, Ranja?
About the government, I think it's important that they give you some freedoms to actually decide what you like for yourself, so that you can have equality and get what you really like. But I also think that it's important that they give you security on the other hand, so that you don't have to worry about too many things, that they, for example, help you when you lose your job, or regarding health insurance and all these kind of matters, because I think security and freedom, on the other hand, are two key elements of being happy.
Okay. How about you, Erin?
I would say when it comes to the government and happiness, Germany has a lot more reason to be happy. I know I was so happy when I lived in Germany. It was just amazing, the freedom, but what was provided, you know, that Germans get healthcare, they have free education through college. And yes, they have higher taxes, but they get all of these things for it. In America, you have to work very hard. Most of us, even at 40 years old, we still have student loans that we're paying off. Our government does not give us health care. Our government is not taking care of the pandemic. And, you know, it certainly changes things when we have to struggle for those basic types of things. It's harder to fulfill your potential. It's harder to focus on the wonderful things when I'm worried about, can I see a doctor this week? Can my children see a doctor this week?
Okay.
And Germany does such a great job of taking care of its citizens like that. America less so.
I don't know, but when I used to live, maybe it depends on the city that we are in. I don't know. I used to live in Kansas City. I just mentioned to you that, and it was so much easier for us to live there as a foreigner. But they support, but maybe it's not as much as Germany does for their
It's
people.
not as streamlined.
Yes.
You know, right. Healthcare in the US is still private. In Germany, it's all national, right? In the US, it's still private. Yeah, so you have these competing things.
So since Germany, they take care of educational and they support their youth and all the students to get through more knowledge, and that's make people, they really want to learn more and go more farther for that. So what do you give, like, how do you feel like as a youth there, and how they acted?
I think it's very interesting to see how they react to the current situation, because you always think that everything is so well provided here. But I also observed some struggles regarding the current situation with all the online courses that did not always work as well as it could have. But well, I guess in the end, it's still quite good, and they really try to make the best out of the situation, and they also really value the students' opinions. So we have a lot of feedback possibilities, and I think that's also very important, because then they can adapt to what is really needed and what makes people happy.
Okay, what do you think, Erin?
I think the US has also had similar struggles with the online learning. The children are so important, and making sure they have their education is so important. but there's no national plan here, right?
Okay.
No leader that's making a plan for everybody. It's every community has to figure it out for themselves. And some communities are doing better than others. We definitely have a lot of inequality in America. We have families that have so much money and resources, and we have an equal number of families in poverty.
Okay.
And into online learning, a problem that we saw was half of the communities don't have the internet, or the children don't have the computers, you know, to be able to do this. The teachers had never taught online. And now, if you've read the news about the US, we're trying to get the students back in school, and they don't even know how to do it safely.
Okay.
You know, we just don't know. And our children are struggling. They miss their friends. They miss their classes. They miss being challenged and, yeah, getting out of the house for a minute.
How you take it as a people there? What kind of things or activities that they do so don't feel this feeling like missing having friends around, going to school, this gathering? What kind of things you did to avoid the bad feeling?
Well, we stay connected as much as possible through Zoom, through social distancing. When people have birthdays, we usually do car parades, you know, so everybody stays in their car, but it's a big celebration and we'll take up the whole street. You know, but you get creative. It's an opportunity to get creative.
Yes, innovation, creativity, it's part of the happiness and the positivity that we live the life. So we have to think out of the box, especially at this time. Think about something that make us very close to each other, stay connected, break anything that make it harder.
Right. Right.
Excellent. How about Germany?
I think we do quite similar things, I guess, like most people around the world are doing. We try to move everything online that is possible to do online. So meeting friends online, doing university online, all that stuff. And also, if it's possible, because here I think the rules are already a little bit less strict than they are in the US, we can meet in smaller groups now when their distance is kept of a few meters apart. And I think that already does a lot to help, even if you can only see your friends like once a week, apart from every day a week when you go to school. That is very much of an improvement already.
So for family members, you're not doing gathering, of course, right? For culture, things that's maybe the culture is different than here in Saudi Arabia, maybe, or in Arab countries. We love gather a lot. So I don't know how this.
Yes, like being a Muslim and being a Jew without community is not possible. It is not possible. We don't know how to cook for one person.
Yes, we usually cook for. Yes. How about you? How about you, Ranja? How does it happen?
I think that's quite the same with this kind of community stuff. It's super hard to recreate that in another way, but you just have to try your best and maybe pass through the time that you have now, and then you can look forward even more to having it again.
Okay. That's the cycle of happiness and positive thinking. It's something that it's go through maybe routine that we live with. What is the things that's happening? Maybe we don't know. We need you to share some of the routines that the lifestyle go through in US and Germany. So if you want to start, Rhonda.
I think regarding our lifestyle in Germany, that is not always focused on happiness, unfortunately. I think it's a lot about getting your goals and getting more money. And sometimes happiness is left out a little bit, even though that should be the main target, I think. And maybe a solution for that would be just sometimes to take it a little bit more slow and focus on the things that are really important. At least that's something I observed quite a lot here.
Okay. How about in US?
In US, we try to focus on gratitude. I think keeping a focus on gratitude allows us to go through the challenges and yet still come out the other side. You know, for it's so a lot of people keep what we call gratitude journals.
Mhm.
It's a challenge where every day you write down 5 things that you're grateful for. And it's a way to train the mind to always look for the positive.
Okay, that's excellent.
Really simple things like I'm grateful for my cup of coffee this morning. It doesn't have to be major things, but it's a way to help the mind focus on the positive.
Wow, I love it.
A lot of people who keep gratitude journals.
Amazing. I remember that we have to do this also during our graduation before, like the last course was, we have to keep our journal, that we have to write down some stuff that we really want to do or make us happy that we have done it before. So that's an excellent idea, yes. So keeping the journal with 5 things at least we have done and grateful about it, which is amazing. Maybe we never thought about it.
Right.
So maybe people go through like, but we go back a little bit to the old style that we have to connect with each other by phone and call each other, checking on each other because we miss each other. So we cannot gather, we cannot have any cultural things together like birthdays or New Year's, all these things that happening.
Right.
Especially that maybe there's some occasion coming up sooner. So what do you think, what is your plan in US? for example, Thanksgiving coming, or what's he gonna do?
Oh, we don't know. We don't know. Like our plans are get through today, get through tomorrow.
So live today and that's it.
Yeah. My son is turning 1 year old on Sunday.
Wow.
And not expect to still be in quarantine for that huge milestone. And so it's going to be a Zoom party. And that's okay. And what's nice about that is, no, we won't have a gathering, but all of our friends from all over the world can tune in for 30 minutes. Like, it's not like everybody was going to fly in for a party.
So this is a special birthday.
Right. Right. So we have this milestone, and there's even the opportunity to include more people than what it would have normally been. But as for Thanksgiving, oh my God, I don't know. We don't know.
How about Germany? What's going on there?
I think it's a good time to maybe spend some more time with your closer family right now, because as we just heard, it's very hard to get everybody to a big meeting because that's just not possible. But maybe if you just go and meet your parents, if you're still living with them, or if that's okay, that can be very great too, because maybe you can spend more time with them than you ever did before and maybe get closer than before. Because when there's a big family with 50 people around, you don't get to talk that much and that closely as you get when you really meet one-on-one. So that might also be a chance for these events.
Okay. Rhonda, you have something to share with us regarding the happiness, or do you have the PowerPoint to share with us or something, or you just
Yes, I prepared a PowerPoint, but I also already mentioned a lot of these points.
Maybe do you have some pictures that could show us what kind of things that maybe we didn't talk about, get a chance to talk about it?
Sure. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
1 second. I need to. So it should be the second slide right now. So what I thought about when I thought about happiness is that for me, it is composed of 3 major parts, which are security, targets, and freedom. For security, I mentioned that already, is that I thought that when you're constantly worrying about things that might happen, you might not be able to completely let go and focus on happiness. For the targets, I had in mind that when you have something you want to achieve that you can orientate your life on, that might make you more happy. First of all, when you actually achieve it in the end, but also that you have that goal in mind that you want to work towards. Because if there's nothing you want to achieve anymore, it can be that you just don't really know why you're even getting out of bed in the morning, and that's not really what you want to have. And then the last point that was really crucial for me is freedom, because I think happiness is something so individualistically that in the end, you yourself need to have the chance to decide on what you want to do to be happy. So you need to have the freedom to be able to decide that.
Okay.
And then we also talked about spiritual life and family. And I think there is not that different from work and education, because in the end, you can still apply those three major key factors. But in this sense, individual interest becomes even more important, because regarding job targets, that might be quite similar for everybody, because everybody wants to have a job and everybody wants to get paid rather well and everybody wants to have fun in their job. But for family, it can be totally different. Some people want to have children, some don't. Some people maybe like to live alone. Some people want to have a huge family around them. So that is just very individualistic what you like there.
Yeah.
I also prepared something regarding creativity. I don't know if that's the point yet to share that. Because I was asked how creativity and happiness can influence performance. And for me, that's kind of a circle that goes around, because I think happiness can actually lead to more creativity. Because if you really enjoy what you're doing, you're willing to put onto it and just really get into it and try to work problems out. And that can lead to better performance. And if you perform well, you might be satisfied with yourself or even hear from other people how well you did. And that can lead to motivation and more happiness. And then the circle just starts over again. So if you're really content with what you're doing, this can lead to performance, and that can make you even more happy with your current tasks. And then I wondered how that can affect groups, because what I thought is that when one person is happy in a work environment, that more people are actually going to get infected by that. Because happiness is a feeling that can spread very easily, and that organization can also take advantage of. Because I was thinking that when the people are content, as we said before, this can increase their performance and creativity. So having a happy group of people and a happy organization can be very beneficial, and not just something that the bosses talk about to make the contract sound better, that they have a happy work environment, but it can actually contribute to a better work environment and also a more efficient work environment even. And then lastly, I tried to analyze what the government can do. And I think that comes back to the point of security a lot, because a government cannot set your targets for yourself. It can provide you with freedom if you want to, because it can leave you more freedom by having less strict rules. But it can also restrict your freedoms in some kind of way, and that can influence your private life. But in the end, about security, they can do a lot. They can give you stability, political security, a fair justice system, and so on and so on and so on, so that you can really focus on yourself and what makes you happy. I think those were the 4 key questions that I was told to answer.
That's excellent, amazing. How about you in US? What is the opposite? If she talk about it in Germany, let's go through it through US. What is the difference, or what is the similarity?
I just think Germany does everything better than the US. They're more organized, they understand what needs to happen, and they get it done. The US just makes everything political, and then nothing gets done. I agree so much with everything that she said. In the US, we tend to focus on 5 main factors that influence happiness and well-being. The first one is thinking positively. You know, it's not about ignoring challenges. It's just about always trying to bend the arc of thought towards positivity.
I agree.
Like, for example, if we lose someone that we love, we can focus on the grief of that loss, or we can transform that grief into showing how much we loved that person, right? If we didn't love them, there would be no grief. So we can focus on the sadness of grief or on the joy of the love that we had, right? So just always bending the thoughts towards that arc of positivity. The second thing that's really important in America is community engagement. Pretty much everybody I know volunteers for some cause that matters to them. In the Midwest, we call it grassroots organizations, and it's basically organizations that are just people coming together to help other people. That's something that we see a tremendous amount of in the US, is community-led organization and volunteering for social issues. In America, relationships are really, really important. Your friends are the family you choose, and they're everything. Having friends who love you and see you for who you are and celebrate your achievements and support you during your failures is just a huge aspect of what friendship means in the US. And I'd say friendship is a big component here. Especially for religious people, I think number 4 is always making sure that you're leading a life that's in line with your values. And as Rania said, that's a very personal thing, but at the same time, there's so much that we can do to make sure that our work is a part of our values, our friends uphold our values, our social circles uphold our values. And as long as we stay in line with what matters to us, it tends to create a more meaningful life. And the last thing in America that people really focus on, just like Rania said, is goals. You know, having accomplishments, not being afraid to challenge yourself or learn something new or to branch out of what you usually do, and being able to accomplish goals and just having goals is a major part of just investing in your own life and investing in your betterment that then creates betterment for everybody around you. So I would say in America, those are probably the top 5. But, you know, kind of like we said, in America, there is the individual and then there's the government. And the government in America is highly regulated, but yet does not provide healthcare, does not provide education, does not provide COVID testing, right? Doesn't provide any of those things. So it really
important for everyone.
Right. It really comes down to the individual. And so we can see in a place like Germany how many benefits there are when the government has it together. And we can see how disastrous it is in America when the government does not. We have over 40 million unemployed people right now. You know, we have over 5 million testing positive for COVID. Like, we have lost over 165,000 people in the biggest peacetime catastrophe in US history. Yeah. Right? It's the country itself is not in a happy place right now. But that's when we bend that positive arc and just say, look at what individuals are doing. Look at what communities are doing. Look how we're coming together. America has difficulty in treating everybody equally too. That's a problem for us. It's something that we're learning every day to do better. And if the government and if the people can do that, we have the recipe for success.
Okay, that's excellent. So I just, before we can conclude, I give you 1 minute or for both of you to just give us an advice for what things can we do in our lifestyle. Before I get the mic to Merva to answer and the question and ask us. So what do you think, Rania?
I think what really helps to be happy is to focus on what is important, because we tend to get our mind all over the place, especially in current times, also with the influence of media. And just taking a few minutes for yourself and really thinking what you want right now in life, but also what you're happy for with what your life is like right now. So, for example, what was mentioned earlier, having those gratitude thoughts, that is really important, I think, to not get distracted and lose your train of thought or your aim on how to be happy.
Excellent.
I would just add that I think it's very important for people to understand that their life is in their own hands. And we can take responsibility for our lives. We can take responsibility for our actions. And we have the power to change whatever it is we need to change. But happiness is our responsibility. It doesn't just float through the air, right? We have to create it.
Okay, that's excellent. So Mervet now will join us to give us the questions that they collect during our talk.
Hello, Linda. Hello, Ronya and Aaron. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
So I'm gonna bring to you some questions from participants. One of the questions says, it seems that the focus in what is happening in advanced countries like US or Germany, we forget that in other parts of the world, well-being may have different definitions. So what do you think well-being means to the poor people or children unmoved in Africa or Asia, where children live the impact of civil wars?
So what do you think, Aaron?
I think we come down to basic happiness in cases like that. Are we safe for today? Do we have a roof over our heads? Do we have food to put on the table? Are our loved ones with us and also safe? Are our children safe? It comes down to absolutely the most basic building blocks of life, right? That in advanced countries, we do forget about, right? We do forget. The most important thing in a situation like that is happiness is probably not going to matter that much. Safety is going to matter. Food is going to matter. Do they have drinking water is going to matter. If we can't take care of the physical, there is no taking care of everything else. It has to start there with safety and security.
Okay.
Yes, I totally agree. I think that there it really comes down to the basic needs, what you really need to basically survive or just get through the day without experiencing further pain. And their happiness can spark from little things, though. That's not something that you might want, and it should be better for them for sure in that situations. But there you can see how happiness can develop even in the worst situations, and that might also be something interesting to observe.
Thank you, Mervet.
Thank you, Ronya and Erin. Now I have another question. In such multicultural countries, I think this question is for you, Erin. And so in multicultural countries, in various communities, just like in Lebanon, you know, we have different religions, different groups, inclinations, orientations. So how can happiness be contagious? How this interaction between the relationship between these two opposite groups, how can this interaction be positive? How can we have positive effects in such a country with different inclinations and sometimes dispute, disagreement, and challenges? You know, we are struggling here in Lebanon. So what do you think, Erin?
I think the most important thing is that we are more alike than we are different. All people are more alike than we are different. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, there are differences, of course. In America, things like freedom of religion is a helpful thing. You know, having a baseline of respect is a helpful thing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean we have to agree on everything, but there is a path to have dialogue about any issue. I believe there is dialogue capable for any issue. When we have the respect to sit down with one another. And so many times it has more to do with listening to the other side. And at the end of the day, everybody just wants the same thing. We want the freedom to be who we are. We want our families to live in security and safety. And we want what's best for our community. And we can just get it down to the basics. You're a human created by God. I'm a human created by God. Let's talk. Let's talk and find.
It's a spiritual issue. Yani it's the beliefs of a person. The beliefs of a person which affect
minds. I mean, there's no such thing as changing anybody's minds. You know, the best we can hope for is to influence someone's heart. And when we understand it at a heart level, when we understand what makes somebody else upset or angry or happy, and do it from a heart level without trying to change the way people think, because they have to respect where people are coming from, there is a path forward. It's not necessarily easy or quick, but there is a way.
There is indeed. Thank you, Erin. And now, Ronya, are you with us?
Yes.
Yes. The question says, as social workers, as trainers, as coaches, how can we spread happiness amongst the societies of displacements where people are living under oppression, under injustice, under struggle? They are struggling, they are living the war, the bombs everywhere, every day. So how are we able to spread happiness, and what is the meaning of happiness in such societies? We talked about the African children, the Asian children, but I'm talking especially about the displacement issue in Syria and other countries, since you are working with children. So what's your what do you think about this point? How are we able to spread happiness, and what does it mean, happiness, to these children?
Yes, that's a really good question. I think that giving happiness to somebody can somehow be a difficult thing to do, because first of all, giving that to somebody who might be in a bad situation might seem like you know what they need and they just don't know. So you cannot tell them what to do in order to be happy, because as I said, everybody knows different things about that. But what I think is really important in order to support these people is to be open to them. For example, when refugees come to Europe, it is impossible how they get rejected at the border and how their lives are treated so unvalued. And that is something that completely does not fit together with happiness at all. And I think that is a very important first step in order to help them achieve happiness, to let them come into the country, let them know that they are welcome, and also let them know that their culture is welcome and that we can learn from each other, because I think they also have some interesting things about happiness to tell that everybody here could benefit from.
Thank you, Ronya. So you are going to be our voice in the UNICEF. Thank you so much. I think, do we still have any other question? Yes, it is not about... What about, do we still have time? دكتور عصام لازم معنا بعد بضع دقائق.
للأسف انتهى الوقت أستاذة ميرفت. كنا سعيدين جدا بهذا اللقاء. شكرا من القلب. لو أحببت أن تشكري ضيوفك أستاذة ليندا لكي نقوم الآن مباشرة بعدها بتكريمهم.
Yes. Thank you, Erin and Rhonda, for your time and being with us today. And we really feel happy, and we really want to see the happiness there. So sometimes maybe we will visit you sooner than you think.
Please.
I will. For myself, I will. I'm coming soon.
And I'll get the food ready.
Good.
Excellent.
That's everything. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.